when the Jewish people are provided with the man, the gift from Hashem, sustenance, given the man in the desert every single day, they're told, only take an omer. There was an amount that was given to each individual, an omer for each person every day. Don't take any more than an omer. And some people were concerned, well, maybe I won't have enough for tomorrow. And the lesson that Moshe was trying to instill within them was that when it comes to our sustenance, when it comes to our faith in Hashem, we believe that Hashem will provide for us every single day. And of course, there's a delicate balance in life between worrying about today and planning for tomorrow. When it came to the man, it was very clear. We were to worry about today and not worry about tomorrow. And if there were certain people who were worried about tomorrow, even though Moshe had explicitly told them not to, so the Torah tells us exactly what happened. They kept some of the man, they only ate a little bit, and they kept it to save it for the next day. As the Pasuk says, Vayarum tolaim vayivash, that it ended up spoiling. There ended up being all kinds of worms that came out of that leftover man, and they weren't able to eat it. And that was to be the lesson that they would no longer leave it over. Hashem provides for us for every single day. But all of a sudden, it came to Friday, and Moshe tells the people, now take a double portion on Friday. And the question is, well, if, let's say, for example, a person had kept some man from one day to the next, and there were worms and it spoiled, but a person collected a double portion on Friday, and for the next day there were no worms, so the next day they had it for Shabbos. So how are we to understand how exactly did this work? Obviously, it was a miracle. So Rav Pinchas Mikoritz, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, explains as follows. He says everything is connected to its source, and it sort of reminds me, a number of years ago, I had a vine that was growing on my house, and it was from a plant. It was growing up on the siding. So the gardener said, well, if you just snip it at a certain point, it becomes disconnected from its source. And when it becomes disconnected from its source, eventually it will dry out and die. But the longer it is somehow connected to the source, then it'll be able to continue to live. So when it comes to the man, the source of the man is all the way up to Shemayim, all the way up in the heavens. So look how distant it is. That's why it had to be eaten right away. And because of that, it grew worms and it spoiled if it wasn't eaten right away, because it's so far away from its source coming from the heavens. However, when it came to Shabbos, he explains, the Kedusha, the sanctity of Shabbos, comes down from the heavens into our lives. And as it comes down, it gets rooted within us, gets rooted within our souls, gets rooted within everything that we experience on the Shabbos. So if the shoresh, the root of the man, was present in this world on the Shabbos, the longer the man was connected to that root, the longer the man was able to be preserved. And that's why he explains that when it comes to Shabbos, none of the man spoiled, as opposed to during the week, if a person tried to leave over, the man spoiled and became wormy. The lesson for us is really clear, to recognize that when we have Shabbos, we have the beauty of the Kedusha, the heavenly Kedusha, the heavenly holiness that enters into our world, that enters into our lives, as opposed to any of the Yamim Tovim, many of the holidays, as we read in last week's Parsha. Mekadesh Yisrael v'Hazmanim. Hashem sanctifies the Jewish people, and the different times, different holidays. We are the ones who declare our holidays based on the new moon. But when it comes to Shabbos, it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's Hashem who is Mekadesh HaShabbos. Hashem is the one who sanctifies the Shabbos, and He sends some of that Kedusha, that holiness, to us on Shabbos. And it was that Kedusha that preserved the man, and is that Kedusha that enters our home on the Shabbos and our lives on the Shabbos on a weekly basis. So let us try as best as we can to recognize the holiness that enters our lives on the Shabbos and treat it accordingly, so the holiness continues to visit us each and every week. Wishing you a good Shabbos.